Every once in a while, the internet births a lookout so bizarre, so completely disconnected from the real world that it's hard to look away.
All you do is sit online and complain and tell people they need to go get a job. What are you doing? Your job is to sit there and stuff your guts?
Don't let Tophia in a nursery home.
But
Tophiachu is that person. A TikToker who is a blend of dirtiness, delusion, desperation, and deranged behavior, and her content is the perfect reflection of that. But what makes it even more unhinged is her misconception that her creepy content will save her life. And not just hers, but also that of her dysfunctional, morally compromised family.
we have to hire someone to clear back there.
You have to do what?
We have to pay someone to clean back there.
I can't hear you.
He said we have to pay someone to clean back there.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
From thirsting over young Asian men in the creepiest way possible to broadcasting her family's downfall, like it's some knockoff soap opera. Tophia has come a long way to become TikTok's grossest degenerate queen. Before diving into her wildest moments, we need to first talk about the rest of the family Chu, the nicknames her critics have given her equally infamous relatives. Tophia's 60-year-old father, known online as Papachu, is actually named Donald Slidell. Her 63-year-old mother goes by Mama Chu, though her real name is Marie Lucero. And then there was her younger brother, Donald Slidell Jr., infamously dubbed Brother Chu by viewers. Tophia also has a dog named Hershey and a cat named Peaches, and what happened to her brother isn't just messed up, it's downright disturbing. Once you find out what and why, you will surely pause this video, but we are only getting started with this full-blown cringe family drama, and once you dive into it, there's no turning back. Honestly, Tophiachu's life is the kind of nightmare you weirdly want front seats. Tophia Genese Slidell was born on June 6, 1994. Which makes her exactly 31 years old as of today. She is currently living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, her birthplace. Papachu is a business major and owns an imaginary business as well, while the Mamachu is a stay-at-home mom of Hispanic descent. Papachu reportedly has a history with the American Army, but now he is all about violence, unhinged talk show rants, and something even more disturbing.
For my instructions, we're going to utilize the stock market, we're going to utilize commodities, soil, soybeans, oats, grains, pork bellies, live cattle, cotton.
He and Mamachu's story began years ago at a nightclub where they hit it off instantly, and Tophiachu was born afterwards. However, many followers believe Donald isn't really her biological father, which is, of course, true. According to this comment, Papa Chu met Mama Chu in the club when she was pregnant with Tophiachu. He pretty much raised her. Brother Chu is younger, and the biological son of Papa Chu and Mama Chu. Tophiachu's daddy Chu is unknown Chu. I hope this helps Chu. Tophia is a high school graduate and also got into the University of New Mexico, but she eventually dropped out, chasing a deep-rooted obsession with becoming a full-blown social media spectacle for clout, visibility, and the desperate need to stay relevant. That's why, as early as 2016, she kicked off her cringe-fueled TikTok career, determined to turn every awkward moment into content. People discussed her early TikTok era in comments. He gave birth to me, you know? So that makes her 22 at the time of posting this. Before that, she was busy making awful duets.
You are my only, you will be lonely, even if the sky is falling down. You'll be my only, no need to worry, baby, I'll get down, 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 down.
One of her first videos was posted on September 22nd, 2016. For over 4 years, Tophia's TikTok account barely got any traction, until one day she began posting painfully cringe Boss's Daughters duet series in 2020. On October 26, 2020, Tophia posted one of those videos, and it got her 442,000 likes today, with 8.1 million views. Her second video, which was posted on October 29, 2020, got 4 million views and 545,000 likes. Since then, she began accumulating a huge number of followers and viewers on her videos. Today, she has an online presence with a huge following spread across different platforms, having over 400,000 followers on TikTok and 32.6 million likes. But this is where it all gets a bit tangy. This grown woman has a strange and creepy obsession with BTS and young Asian men, and this was proved right when she attended a Beast concert in the middle of 2022 in Las Vegas, attracting even more followers and viewers. She's had over 100 duets with Asian men on TikTok, and she's not even ashamed of it. To this day, she proudly continues to make cringe duets with men way younger than her.
Actually, no, you don't. You don't. No, why would you say that? Stop! Why?
Let's change that today.
Wait, for real?
The worst part is she doesn't feel an ounce of embarrassment piling up shameless content on her account, and her critics just can't help but call her out. The fact that she's almost 30 is crazy, but on the flip side, Tophia's fans blatantly call themselves Chu Crew, basically putting themselves in Family Chew, or more like a Chuniverse. And if you think we've already spilled all the tea on Tophia's bizarre fetishes, think again. A quick peek at her Instagram will take your disgust to a whole new level. Because guess what? She's out here following a BL K-pop page. Her viewers can't resist dragging her for that. She is so disgusting OMFG, I wonder how Marie is going to try and defend this. Last Chew. Asian plus gay men. Not only that, Tophia is no less than a creepy e-stalker though, honestly. That might not even surprise you at this point. She had this bizarre, borderline obsessive crush on Glenn Father, a South Korean lifestyle influencer on TikTok. She was seen commenting on his multiple posts. So handsome, love you. So handsome in these photos. Merry Christmas, love hard. Cute. People on Reddit couldn't help but pour out their real emotions in the comments. Love you, like she's in a relationship with the guy he needs an order of protection. Boss's daughter, a security guard even. And it didn't take long for Glenn to hit his paranoia. Her fixation soon hit a humiliating low when Glenn blocked her on TikTok and asked her not to interact with him in his live streams. But Tophia wasn't ready to back out. She came up with an alternate account on TikTok with the name Bunny, and began commenting in his live streams, as if it wasn't already embarrassing for her to be blocked. Yet she did something that a 12-year-old would do, but people wanted to verify if this was really her. One Redditor asked about it, and the poster actually confirmed our worst fears. How do you know that's her? My apartment. The suspect was identified, and this one are the exact same. Also, someone has Tophia's number in their contact list from when it got leaked and put that Bunny account in their suggestion box. Her creepy obsession went out of control, and she began chasing another Asian content creator, Wesley Boba. She made weird, compulsive videos on TikTok mentioning Wesley and referring to him as her love interest. The worst part was that she even tagged him in those videos. She kept embarrassing herself while putting him on edge with her unhealthy attachment. And his breaking point eventually came. It was when he had had enough of Tophia's unwanted attention. She literally chased this poor man off the internet. Someone on Reddit revealed all the embarrassing details about what went down between them. She would literally duet all his videos, and would wait till he posts something so she could duet. And she also made this girlfriend application video for him. In the video she explained that because she is a plus-sized woman that he can use her as a pillow, and that he shouldn't waste money on pillows, and instead use her as a pillow. Her obsession got so weird to the point she paid money just so he could talk to her outside of social media. She even made this video titled, "When you give him $24 for his birthday, and he doesn't even say thank you." She was clearly talking about Wesley. Wesley has blocked her on TikTok. Tophia got so mad that he blocked her that she made lies about him. Because of that, he's deleted all his social media accounts permanently. This is the $24 video that Tophia posted about Wesley.
See me up like it's Benny, but sorry about that.
Tophia once even showed her this Instagram Explore page to her followers, which was full of young South Korean men. And this is where we fail to understand why, and how people could actually like and support someone like Tophia with a questionable history and gross content. Because what we just talked about at the start of this video about Tophia was just surface level stuff. And what we're going to talk about next will have you in disbelief and at the same time disgusted. It's none other than her disturbing secret, something she accidentally exposed herself in one of her live streams. Tophia has been caught watching porn. This secret was revealed while she was showing her phone screen, and there's a tab dedicated to videos.
They're not gonna... Oh, that scared me. I was like...
It wasn't only one time that she accidentally exposed her embarrassing secret. During another live stream, she posted a screenshot which clearly showed 4 corn video icons. And the most ridiculous thing about this incident was the desperate cover-up. Tophia allegedly accused Leslie Clark of photoshopping those icons in the screenshot. The cover-up was so flop that someone on Reddit laid out the reality in a comment. Plus, Leslie is not smart enough to even do that. Like, let's be totally honest here. Leslie has no brain cells. Lights are on, but nobody is home. And if that wasn't embarrassing for her already, she joined a live stream with black content creators, expecting them to help her fight the Asian teen corn allegations.
There was a lot of stuff that I said, obviously the videos that I've addressed, because some white girl was being racist towards me.
But all she gets from them is awkward silence followed by an instant kick-out from the live stream.
Right, discussing this on your live at this present moment because that's what we weren't here for. Yeah, that's why I muted that person. What I'm saying. And maybe she should drop from this conversation. She should drop from this conversation.
This isn't a controlled environment where you should be doing that. I don't think you should do that.
And then Tophia once again made an embarrassing mistake while showing screenshots on her phone, one of which showed furry corn on it. And let's not forget about her hygiene issues and zero sense of cleanliness. The most gag-inducing thing about her, according to her bemoaned confession, is that she never cleans after relieving herself. In this video, she flat-out admits it.
Did I wipe? Why would I need to wipe if I didn't? Never mind. Why you want to know what business I do in the bathroom?
Others, including her brother's ex-girlfriend, have even called her out for this level of nastiness. It is so bad, it practically lingered in the air.
My dad stopped to pick up Tophia and Marie because they were walking. So he was nice enough to stop and pick them up. And by the time Tophia had gotten out of the car, my dad literally goes, "What is that smell?" as soon as Tophia got out of the car.
Jeez.
And I was so embarrassed. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, do I even say that it was her or do I just say I don't know? But I was very embarrassed.
But hold on, we are only getting started with this. Tophia's entire work history can be summed up in a single short-lived stint at Dunkin' Donuts, barely 10 to 12 days. Management had no choice but to fire her, not just for her awful attitude, zero productivity, and non-stop snacking on the food, but because she reeked so badly that both co-workers and customers complained. Tophia also talked about this in a live stream video and shared the reason she was fired from her job.
A customer called in and said I smelled really bad. They said that's the reason why I got fired.
Oh, but that's not the reason.
No.
Okay, so that's not.
It's the whole video is like on YouTube. I've already stated the reason why. It was over cheese because Dunkin' has like this freezer area where you have to restock the sandwiches, and because of that, it wasn't restocked. And on Sunday I was off, and she tried to. I guess she forgot I was off on Sunday, and she tried to say, "Well, why wasn't it stocked?" And I said I was off Sunday, and she realized I was off. Because she had an attitude with me that day. She was watching me make sandwiches, and we ran out of cheese. And she's like, "Well, you shouldn't have run out of cheese. You know how to restock it." And I was like, "I wasn't here Sunday." And then she told me, "Well, I'm suspending you for 2 weeks or something, a week."
If we peel back another layer, things only get more disturbing because her poor hygiene even became one of the reasons she was kicked out of her apartment. This wasn't her first brush with homelessness either. In fact, Tophia had faced homelessness, with her family spending most of their years in homeless shelters throughout her childhood. It was around the year 2022. Tophia and her family were living chaotically, if not peacefully, in an Albuquerque apartment. Then all of a sudden they came upon some bad news. They received a letter in the mail. Tophiachu, the one responsible for paying rent, had failed to do so. The landlord was demanding $3,000 in unpaid rent. That mail dropped on the family like a bombshell. Tophiachu, who has been struggling with mental health issues, hadn't told anyone about not clearing the rent on time. And since their financial condition wasn't really good at the time, they begged for an extension from the landlord.
Because I have the money, but we don't have enough for last month's rent. We have to wait till he gets paid, which is early this month. And we have to use that to move to another place. But in the meantime, it's going to take a while once you apply.
But that's when Tophia's carefully crafted online image began to crack. Soon after, she was served with an eviction notice demanding that they vacate immediately. And as it turned out, unpaid rent wasn't the only reason they wanted her gone. There were other reasons, too. The reasons that will gross you out. The neighbors and staff had noticed the disturbances from her apartment, which also included the unsanitary conditions. The pile of dirt and trash inside the apartment was completely unacceptable to the people living around. Brother Chu's ex-girlfriend also confirmed the said statement. "I bet that house reeked of dog piss." OMG, yes it did. But that wasn't all. Since Tophiachu had unstable mental health, he would often start fires in the apartment to burn trash and paper, flames flickering dangerously close to electrical outlets. He would cook food using unsafe methods, endangering everyone. Hasn't Tophiachu set fires in their apartments multiple times? The audacity of this cow to talk about the California fires being man-made and endangering the lives of others when her pappy does the exact same thing. And then there were the green cross signs, strange symbols he had plastered all over the apartment. The eviction notice also pointed out Tophia's constant live streams, and Tophia didn't let it go quietly. Almost immediately, she turned on her followers, accusing them of secretly recording her apartment and exposing its grim conditions. But Tophiachu and the whole family weren't about to budge and leave the place easily. Just after getting that eviction notice, Tophia's e-begging phase kicked off, and she put together every other clever tactic to get her hands on donations quickly. When her followers asked her to do a job to support her household, dear Garcia, but Tophia twisted this into a sweeping stereotype. Unfairly, with the Garcia surname, were tied to crime.
You're a failure to your parents already. You are a poor example of what your parents raised. Your parents raised someone that is poor, and you're the...
From there, the daily live streams became relentless. Hours of crying, ranting, and pleading for viewers to send money via Cash App or PayPal. TikTok has not paid me. It's been past 2 Wednesdays already. Like, it's frustrating. Like, if we earn and make the money, they should pay us on time. I'm so annoyed. I'm tired of trolls complaining about what to do all the time. I'm gonna speak up, even if this story gets me hate because I'm stressed out. I'm sorry, y'all. Can someone PLZ help me? It's an emergency. I know what the hater will say, but I need 120. If someone can help, I would appreciate it. I didn't want to ask, but for safety reason, I have no choice. I've been stress crying. I'm trying everything I can to get a job from home. It's hard. Tophia claimed she really needed money to clear out her overdue rent, prevent eviction, and buy food and hygiene essentials. Without hesitation, she would say phrases like, "If I don't get $300 by tonight, we're going to be on the street," in the hopes that her followers would chip in. And when that didn't work, she escalated further, turning to baiting. One of the most disturbing examples came during a live stream shortly after she received the eviction notice.
My mom said my account was my income, but I don't want it. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore.
And this wasn't even for one time. Tophia is a habitual baiter, with zero regard for the trauma it could cause viewers watching her streams. Tophia has done the same on multiple occasions, often over small inconveniences, turning minor issues into full-blown crises and threatening to unalive it herself. It's mainly due to her fear of stepping outside in the real world and doing a 9-to-5 job. Because according to her, she isn't made for such jobs.
I will not have a peaceful life. If I get a job, if someone sees me working somewhere, they're going to tell other people are going to show up or harass my job and get me fired. And then go online and laugh about how they got me fired for my job.
She crashed out for the same reason in another live stream after someone asked her to do a job.
I don't want to go through having to mop floors for the rest of my life working at McDonald's because someone told me that I was living in La La Land and I'm supposed to be miserable just like everyone else.
Apparently, she's been doing the same since 2020, and every time she uses side baiting, her pitiful followers fall for her scheme. Just like this time when she was being evicted from apartment. She even made a GoFundMe page, citing Tophiachu's mental illnesses as the leading cause of her eviction. Without wasting much time, her followers started pouring in money, feeling pitiful for her situation, hoping that their money would go to a better cause and save Tophia from homelessness. However, Tophia's fundraising had nothing to do with genuine need. Instead, she spent most of the funds on her DoorDash orders getting her hands on favorites. Mountain Dew and maple bacon jerky, snacking on every other fast food without feeling an ounce of shame. But the biggest outrage came when she spent hundreds of dollars on something that triggered heavy criticism from her followers and especially other TikTok creators like Aunt Karen. In January 2023, Tophia dropped a staggering $410 to attend Comic-Con with her family.
That I spent $1K at Comic-Con when no, I did not. I reiterated and said that I had spent $410.
Aunt Karen went on to confront Tophia for her reckless behavior and going to Comic-Con using donation money.
So for whatever reason you were doing that, now you're sitting here, you did spend money going back and forth, going to Comic-Con, you wasted money going to Comic-Con when you could have put the money towards your moving costs. I don't think anyone should give you money to move.
And when Tophia couldn't face the reality, she began shedding tears, trying to farm sympathy.
I need you, listen, Tophia, I need you to understand what we're trying to do here. Tophia.
Since she had no savings left to pay her dues and no intentions of doing so, the landlord resorted to Plan B, forcing her out of the apartment with the help of authorities. That was when Tophia's worst day came along. On November 25th, 2022, the police finally came down to her place with the staff to force empty the apartment, and the footage began surfacing on the internet, exposing the disgusting state of her home for the world to see. The apartment was whole damn filthy, with food waste and animal feces all over the floor, not to mention the body odor cranking up the place in real time, making the nightmare even bigger. The viewers gave the apartment an odd but somewhat absurd name, Tophiachu, due to its condition. From this time onward, Tophiachu's downfall hit rock bottom. They bounced from place to place looking for somewhere to stay. On February 25th, 2023, Mamachu, Brotherchu, and Tophia were officially out on the streets and were homeless. But there was one person missing from the Chu group, and that was Tophiachu. And he wasn't with them because he was in jail at the time. Now you might be thinking, what could Tophiachu possibly have done to end up behind bars? After all, he seemed harmless. Maybe just mentally unstable. But once you find out why and how Tophiachu ended up in jail, it will stop you in your tracks. Tophiachu's track record and history haven't been good for a while. According to many viewers, Tophiachu has bipolar schizophrenia, which is evident in his Twitter account full of disturbing schizo tweets. His Twitter account's title is The Office of the Holy God Defrock, and according to him, he is the chairman of Ozark International Bank of America, offering financial services to people around him. His username goes by Hezekiah Mordecai.
Hezekiah Mordecai Pisario, OSB Global Q, and the Ozark International Bank of America Government World Bank. How are you?
Tophiachu is literally losing it on Twitter. He's posting gifs of explosions and saying weird things. I'm afraid that if he doesn't get the help he needs very soon, he will do something bad. But that is not all. Tophiachu's lore only gets wilder. He had been caught posting explicit photos of himself on Twitter, which resulted in his ban sometime in the past. The Redditors were also seen discussing his vile behavior in the subreddit dedicated to Tophia and Familychu. The comments under this post were agitated. Tophia, don't do that. Again? No, not again. I was scrolling through his posts and saw a bunch of pics. It was crazy. Someone else made a separate post on Papachu's explicit Twitter content, Papachu, then a MF today. I see Chu. He's sitting at a table with his... I'm crying a moo. And it didn't take long for the Twitter space to shut Tophiachu down. Within a few days, his account was suspended. But it wasn't just his explicit photos that got him banned. Under the post, someone had exposed Tophiachu's next-level nasty and behavior. This was the most disturbing thing we got to know about Tophiachu. Good, he was saying that he was looking for 16 to 24-year-olds to have sex with. He's a pedophile and he's sick. I want to believe that if he got back on medicine, therapy, and sober, that he could change and be a better person. Realistically, I think drugs and lack of medication just bring these things to the surface, and he's always had an attraction to minors. Apparently, Tophiachu has serious behavioral issues, especially when it comes to talking to women online or in person, as seen in one of his live videos on TikTok. In one instance, Mamachu is seen screaming at Tophiachu for speaking to minors on his live stream. As Mamachu screamed, Tophiachu smiled and quietly listened to her rant.
Mamachu stormed again.
Shut it off, we're all going unplugged internet.
I'm scared.
Ask him about the eviction. Nobody in the
He got evicted.
And then I need to know if I'm white or not.
Tophiachu didn't stop there. He has even sent out love letters to many women. One time, the situation spiraled out of control, and one of the women even came down to confront and speak to Tophiachu directly at their place.
Oh, well, I just wanted to give you the...
You didn't read it.
I did. All of them.
Okay.
And it's like, I can't accept any of this.
Is that your boyfriend?
Yes. Yes. And I believe that's your wife, I think?
Yeah.
See, and yeah, to me, I think that's kind of disrespectful on their part. But that's just what I want to do. I want to like return it. You know what I mean? And I don't want any copies of mine.
And Tophia didn't take long to defend Tophiachu in a video, claiming that the woman was only there to record her and the family. She made it clear that Tophiachu never wrote any love letters to any woman.
No, what's creepy is saying that someone's writing you love letters and then walking into their house and filming. Yeah, and start filming if they invited you in. This makes me think of Elton John. That's creepy. Imagine filming someone and they don't know it and then years later plastering it online. That's creepy. But yet people don't want to say that's creepy because they want to applaud her for being a creep.
Under the post, people called out Tophia for her defensive behavior for Tophiachu. This lady was stalking me taking videos. Girl, they gaff about you. They came there to confront your stepdad, harassing them with love letters. UCF. They're always talking about how people don't care about some victims. Yet you let your father harass and send a young woman with kids love letters. Fake-ass, hypocritical itch. The most ridiculous part about Tophiachu is that he is about 60 and has lost almost all of his teeth. Yet he still insists that he is teething like a baby and his fallen teeth would grow back.
My teeth are going to grow back. I'm 58. I'm 58 years old, and I am teething. Right now, I am teething.
But that's just the surface level oddity. The deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Tophiachu has been in handcuffs more than once. He was first arrested in 2004 on charges of battery. He was again arrested in 2022 for attempted kidnapping, in which the police also used tear gas during his arrest. He was also expected to show up in court in December, but he brushed it off, which eventually resulted in the issuance of an arrest warrant in January 2023. The tear gas incident was in November 2022, the first time he got arrested. He was supposed to go to court for that kidnapping false imprisonment charge in December, but he didn't show up, which is why they had the warrant for his arrest on the day of that video that was just posted. An insane police body cam footage surfaced on the internet of Tophiachu's arrest on the 16th of January 2023, in which Tophia appeared to smile weirdly while Tophiachu was apprehended by the cops.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
No. That's fine.
Okay, I don't know if and when he'll get out, he'll call you guys what the deal is, but ultimately he is under arrest, and you guys are free to go back into your apartment.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate you guys' cooperation. Okay? Have a good day.
He was released shortly after his arrest, possibly in a few months. But after his release, Tophiachu was officially off the radar and nowhere to be found. Tophia and her mother had completely cut off ties with Tophiachu, leaving him to fend for himself. It wasn't only kidnapping charges that made Tophiachu and Tophia to sever their ties with Tophiachu. He also had a history of violence against Tophiachu. He has around 9 charges of domestic violence, beginning from as early as 2001. And quite literally the same could be said about Brotherchu, Tophia's younger brother, who had his fair share of questionable behavior just like Tophiachu. And apparently Brotherchu didn't have a clean record when it came to having moral values. Someone on Reddit labeled Brotherchu hideous, and his phone got stolen, and someone posted pictures of his Snapchat where a Brotherchu lied about his age, claiming he was 15 whilst talking to a 13-year-old. That's the incident the Mrs. Hershey flare is referring to. Before passing, it was also found out that he was actively talking to an 18-year-old, who was still in high school. IARC, some even found the poor girl's softball game logs to show that she was indeed in high school. I'm not sure about the domestic allegations. Brotherchu was at around 27 at the time he was talking to an 18-year-old, and it didn't stop there. Brotherchu's history only got more disturbing. He's been accused of his ex-girlfriend Angie, and also doxing her live on stream, something that also dragged Tophia and Brotherchu to the court and restraining orders. Someone on Reddit confirmed the doxing incident. Meanwhile, Tophia's own life was spiraling. With nowhere stable to live, she bounced between cheap motels and sleeping in her car. Tophia was also seen using green screen effects on her TikTok lives and videos to avoid getting trolled by her critics. While she was staying at a motel, the viewers figured out the motel's location after she was doxed by someone. Her trolls began leaving 1-star reviews with absurd comments on the motel's page. Even worse, men from Tinder and Grindr began showing up at the motel under false pretenses.
Yeah, he tried to come in.
He showed me the message. He said the door's unlocked.
He tried to come in.
You're lucky I was home too.
But the real question was how the family Chu paid for the motel. Well, it pretty much came from Tophiachu's veteran affairs checks, which were allotted to him by the government. The family Chu continued to exploit Tophiachu from a distance, while Tophiachu lived on the streets, slept on benches, and stole food from grocery stores. And he's in jail again. Tophia spent his entire monthly check on rent for the motel every month, but wouldn't allow him to live there too, so he was on the streets, sleeping on parked benches and stuff. Recently, he went back to jail for armed robbery. He stole food from a grocery store because he was starving, and he had a pipe in his hand for a weapon. None of them give a about him. They totally missed his recent court date, and the judge was talking about how the family don't even try to help him. Tophia isn't letting him live with them. Spends his entire check but don't give a where he lives. He was in and out of jail constantly throughout this time. In October 2024, Tophiachu found himself back in trouble, this time for stealing $70 worth of food from a gas station convenience store. When the employees confronted him, he began spitting at them. He was charged with shoplifting, criminal trespassing, disorderly conduct, and however, his charges were dropped due to his unstable mental condition. He was released in November to continue to live on the streets or in a men's shelter. The body cam footage of his arrest was quite wild and surfaced in the Chigurh community.
Well, yeah, I sure did.
You did?
I took, yeah, but I didn't take it. They stopped me. But that's a big mistake because he's fired. If you running got their mouth, you'll be fired.
Okay. Okay.
Did you get this for you?
No, it is one.
Okay. 16.
Alright, so right now, we're going to place you under arrest, okay?
Yeah, do it.
Give me that. Thank you, sir.
People on Reddit discussed Tophiachu's arrest, Tophiachu's mugshot from his October 28, 2024 arrest has been released. Someone under the post made a joke out of Tophiachu's arrest. Yup, that's me. You're probably wondering, Tophiachu, what got you into this situation? Teething like a baby. I'm crying. And as expected, Tophia's new living place was no less gross than her previous one, the infamous Apartment-chu. She and her family did everything in their power to turn the motel room into a landfill full of filth and mold. Her kitchen appliances were as dirty and sticky as her whole room, with trash bags piled up here and there. And when we speak of unsanitary conditions and nastiness, how can we forget about introducing you to another Family Chu member? A forbidden one, perhaps. It might even make you throw up. So if you're having dinner, lunch, or breakfast, you better take precautions. We didn't get to see this family member of hers often in the Apartment-chu, but in the motel live streams, this uninvited member was everywhere. We are talking about none other than the prestigious Roach Chu, a cockroach who was given a diabolical name by Tophia's trolls. Roach Chu was so attached to each family member that it was often seen crawling around the spaces near Tophia and others. In one instance, the cockroach was seen crawling on Tophia's dew cup, which she used afterwards.
On the dew cup. Buns, they just look really weird. For some reason on me, I tried, it just doesn't look right.
And just like that, Tophia was once again forced out of the motel, because she and her family had no concept of cleanliness. Adding to the reason, Tophia also wasn't meeting the deadlines to pay motel rent. She'd make excuse after excuse about TikTok payouts being late, all while blowing through both her own and Tophiachu's checks on herself.
I probably shouldn't be posting this, but there is a TikToker on here whose name I'm not going to say just in case, who is known for going live, and she's been living out of a motel that I just so happened to work at, and we had to kick them out today and DNR them because they couldn't pay their bill, and I quote, because TikTok didn't pay me. They were disgusting, and I can confirm her room was disgusting.
It didn't help that she refused the motel's regular cleaning service, only requesting fresh bed sheets every few days while letting the rest of the room spiral into a nasty, unlivable state. But that wasn't even the worst part yet. The next thing you're going to hear will force you to stop this video and reconsider your life choices. As Tophia, Mamachu, and Brother Chu were out on the streets once again, Mamachu reportedly couldn't hold it any longer and took a dump right there in the motel parking lot. As a result, Tophia was officially put on the DNR Do Not Rent list, which meant it would be difficult for her to come back to that motel unless she took responsibility for the damage and unsanitary conditions inside the motel room. The motel drama was initiated by none other than a housekeeper named Squid, who came into the motel after Tophia's eviction and recorded everything on her phone. And this pushed Tophia to the edge, triggering her to get into an online fight with Squid. Squid first called Tophia out for her nasty conduct, leaving the motel dirty, and then clapped back for calling Squid a maid. And it was the best opportunity for people to in even more, asking her more questions about Tophia and her stay at the motel.
I cannot describe to you the smell that was emanating from that room. I could even smell it on her brother when we would pass each other when I was on my way into work and he was going to the Circle K up the street. It's not apartment style living, it's an extended stay hotel, and it is a dump.
Squid also mentioned the motel staff had been nothing but cooperative, and if Tophia had simply allowed housekeeping inside, there wouldn't have been any roach chews crawling around. She also mentioned how the kitchen was all dirty and had months-old food.
But I can tell you that the reason they had roaches is because their kitchen was absolutely f***ing disgusting, and it had food on it that was probably older than my nieces and nephews. Also, the people working the front desk are wonderful, nice people that are good at their jobs. The only time that the staff at the hotel, myself included, are going to be less than nice to a guest is when they are less than nice to us, okay? We match energy.
And this is where Tophia came crashing in, dragging Squid in the mud with her, threatening to report her to the police in her workplace for endangering her and her family's lives.
I'm going to explain to you, and I would advise you, if you're the housekeeper, that you take that video down, because it's not going to look good for you. I've already got the video. I'm going to send it to your corporate, and I'm also filing a report with the police, because that put my family in danger. And I know the police really don't do much, but at this point, I don't got no choice.
Squid didn't stop at just exposing the motel room. She kept pulling back the curtain on what really went down after Tophia was kicked out. She even fired back harder after Tophia threatened to call the police on her. According to Squid, Tophia had been living out of her brother's car with her mother, parked just down the street from the motel.
So apparently, Tophia wants to call the police on me. Honey. Only one of us is breaking the law right now, and I did call the cops on you, okay? I called the cops and reported a suspicious vehicle, because y'all have been sitting there all day and all night. And then I also told them that they need to do a prior welfare check, because there's an elderly woman living in the car with them now.
The worst thing about that abnormal stay outside the motel was Tophia being towards Mamachu, something that even the motel manager had also heard and called APD. But Tophia, never one to admit fault, brought around more excuses for her already obvious and unapologetic behavior. She made a separate 5-minute video on Squid, harassing, bullying, and threatening her that she would lose her job.
I need to address this because this needs to be said. I'm running errands, and I don't need anyone to be thinking I'm sleeping out of my car. First of all, the maid had no rights to share any of my personal and private business, and it would be in her best interest not to respond to comments in her page because she's going to incriminate herself and lose her job. I got several videos I am sending over to corporate, and I'm going to make a call to let them know.
And this wasn't even Tophia's first time pulling the threat card. In another incident, she was caught on video bullying and harassing a fellow creator, going as far as threaten to unalive her, all because she called Tophia lazy and not being able to do a job. Tophia said she had a right to defend herself and would do anything to save her precious life.
Who's Tophia? I don't even know. She's this girl on TikTok that's really lazy and doesn't have a job and talks about really topics you shouldn't be talking about on socials.
Named Sarah is on live talking about how she wants to fight me. You want to show up to fight? You're going to show up, but you're going to understand and learn your lesson. And you're going to learn your lesson all the way to the grave, okay? Because I don't play. And for people who probably take this as a threat, I literally have the right to use self-defense. If someone's threatening me and I don't want to fight them and they show up, I have a right to protect myself.
But the internet wasn't buying it. People on Reddit think Tophia is all bark and no bite, because when she is confronted in person, she becomes silent and fearful. This girl fakes seizures on live, and even she has a job and a man. Tophia comes up short against her ops every time. She acts like she's really going to do anything when we witnessed how she actually is when confronted in public. Scared and mute LMFAO. It seems like the phrase, get a job, is Tophia's ultimate trigger. In another live stream, one that was years ago, Tophia crashed out and was in tears after her viewers told her to get a job. As a response, Brother Chu came to the rescue of Sister Tophia, warning everyone to behave unless they want to get doxxed for their locations. Because, let's be honest, bullying and making empty threats is Family Chu's long-standing occupation, and she didn't even spare the law enforcement from her rage, since she had multiple incidents and run the suspect then sway in the same car, only to be taken down moments later by a security guard from...
When police stopped caring about black people's lives, that's when we should stop caring about the police and defund the police. And I think anytime I call the police over to my place and they act suspicious, I should start at them. Yeah, we should start at police. And people may not like that idea, but...
Her worldview seems to revolve around the belief that everything and everyone is somehow out to get her. At one point, Tophia became convinced that Reddit and Discord groups were working together against her, and in her paranoia she bragged about hiring a take them out. But we haven't even hit the rock bottom yet, because the next revelation about Tophia will make you do a double take. During her livestream mobile gaming, Tophia was seen making repulsive comments about Selma Blair, especially referring to her cancer.
Is that the one that had cancer? Now, look, I'm not going to make fun of someone cancer. That's not what I was going to do. But if you got a terminal illness and you're worried about someone's documentary, I think you got more depressing things to worry about than someone's documentary. Respectfully. You got a life-threatening illness. You got an expiration date you need to worry about.
And when we talk about bullying and violence, how can we forget Tophia's deranged behavior with her own parents, especially Mamachu? She has been witnessing and screaming at Mamachu in multiple live streams. In one live stream, Tophia snatched the phone from Mamachu's hands in front of a large audience and shouted at her. She also told Mamachu that speaking Spanish is like mocking Mexicans.
Answer in my Hispanic language.
No, you said que no habla. I asked you not to do that because that gives them a reason to say that you're mocking Mexicans.
No, I'm not. Hello?
Is there a Mexican at home?
I needed to make sure before I block it. That's the only one. Just go. Just never mind.
Stop answering them.
At one point, Tophia was caught on a TikTok live stream screaming at Mamachu for reasons that were never made clear.
I said it accidentally. And they made me mad.
I'm sick of this.
Well, You too. You say a lot of things, and I don't
I
say
didn't
anything.
say anything like that though. And then I'm the one that gets yelled at.
Well, stand up for yourself.
No more.
I don't care. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Well, you're not gonna say that.
Even when Mamachu's abnormal cough shook the viewers to be concerned about her well-being, Tophia wasn't bothered a bit.
When I focus on myself, because I need to get financial stability, have my own car, be driving, doing...
Someone under this video commented, "I would cry my eyes out if this was my mother. How can she not feel bad?" More people showed their concerns in the comments, but Tophia wasn't the one to take anything seriously other than herself. This is hilarious. Sorry. The way Tophia just absolutely tunes her out. Do they not believe in science? Why isn't she at a hospital receiving treatment? Is her daughter just waiting for her to die? I need to focus on myself. This bitch is a psycho. But this still wasn't the lowest point. In one live stream, Tophia openly bragged, while laughing about punching Mamachu. Just when it seems she can't sink any lower, she finds a way. Another time, she screamed and ordered Mamachu to hang up the phone during her gaming live stream.
Hello.
Hang up. Hang up. Hang up. You're not a doctor. Get off the phone and stop playing on the phone. Leave us alone. Hang up the phone.
With so many moments caught on video showing Tophia's behavior, viewers began openly discussing and worrying about Mamachu's safety. But instead of owning up, Tophia doubled down, forcing Mamachu to publicly claim she wasn't being...
Mom, there's a video going around of people saying that I was real aggressive towards you. Please explain to them.
She was not doing anything with me like that. You guys are just trying to, have something to say. My daughter does not harass me or anything like that. We have a real good relationship. Yeah, we argue sometimes, but everybody does.
During their eviction, Tophia asked Mamachu to act like an adult because she wanted to buy toilet paper, and they had to save money. However, in the end, Tophia ended up ordering a DoorDash pizza herself.
You have to think like an adult. You're over 60. You're 60 years old. You should know this. Toilet paper is not gonna pay your rent. We can't buy paper goods right now. The last few months I've been working on me, baby.
Still, I'm finding a hole.
Okay, let's eat, shall we?
Under the post, someone rightfully pointed out, of course she didn't want to waste money on toilet paper BC she doesn't wipe. Tophia didn't even hesitate to Tophiachu at some point, when they lived together at the apartment. And if you think she has maxed out her bad behavior while her parents, you're proven wrong once again. It isn't only parents who suffered at the hands of Tophia. She didn't even animals. Her dog, Hershey, became another silent victim.
My pets are well taken care for, which is one pet, which is Hershey. Hershey. Why are you always... Thank you.
In one live stream, Tophia casually laughed and relaxed while her kitten, Peaches, could be heard screaming in the background during a fight with Hershey, reportedly over pet food. When her apartment was raided by the law enforcement officers for her eviction, the cops had used tear gas to avoid any attempts. Shockingly, Tophia had left Hershey behind in the tear-gassed apartment for at least 14 hours. In a Discord server dedicated to Tophia, someone had pointed this out and called Tophia out for her sheer recklessness. That family left their dog in that tear-gassed, dirty apartment for 14 hours and didn't even tell the cops she was there. Tophia, you're a sick animal abuser. Everyone body cam update. The request file is still missing a lot of footage, but it has not been closed, so we should be getting a ton of more clips soon. Also, Tophia left Hershey in the apartment during and after the raid for 14 hours. Hershey was hiding underneath Tophiachu Jr.'s bed the entire time, for 14 hours. Tophia didn't bother telling the cops that there was a dog in the apartment, plus SWAT sent their canine in as well. We only saw a slither of the neglect Hershey endured. And if Tophia was comfortable enough to leave her dog in an apartment knowing it was going to be gasped for 14 hours, you can kinda assume what else she was okay with doing to that dog. Mind you, she also would never take Hershey outside to use the bathroom, let alone walk it so she can gladly rot in hell while Satan on her chest, and hopefully that scenario occurs sooner than later for her age, playing no animal, a low-life ass. After enduring Tophia's for some time, Hershey eventually ran away following a fight with another dog. Hershey remained missing for a few weeks, and she didn't bother to look for her and later talked about it in detail on her livestream. Shockingly, Tophia later got a new dog for herself, without even looking or trying to find Hershey.
Who made the mess? So now you're gonna go clean it. Understand?
And if you think her cruelty is limited to her family and animals, think again. Tophia isn't just a... She is way more than that. Tophia is also an unapologetically racist and homophobic person who takes pride in it. She is often seen openly targeting people based on their races and orientations. In one instance, she even insulted herself by claiming she looked ugly because she supposedly had black facial features.
You know how people get, right? Because it was like one of those videos that says, at least you don't look like Tophia. And I was gonna say something, but yeah, well, I can say one of the things I was gonna say. I don't know if it's considered along the lines of bullying, but I was gonna call them a crater face because they had a bunch of zits on their face. But then I was like, I don't know how old this person is. Is it on the line of bullying? How old are they? Because if they're an adult, then of course I'll say something to them.
Other times, Tophia stooped so low that she used the N-word while singing along a rap song, and played it off because she considers herself black. Tophia might just be the biggest hypocrite you'll ever come across. On her Instagram stories, she yapped for straight 5 minutes about two different races. First, she called out people who considered her ugly, certifying them to be anti-black.
Let's get into it. So anyone who makes fun of someone and calls them ugly, you're anti-black, okay? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to start exposing people for calling me ugly and start sharing your DMs. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to do that because I already know people are going to send an influx of comments just to be seen, and I'm not going to give you the attention you deserve. You're anti-black, and that's all there is about it.
And then, without any shame, she began humiliating white women for being boring and bland.
I'm sorry, but some of us are not into the boring, bland, basic, seasonless chicken that is so white, it matches the wall decor. Like, let's be totally honest, it matches your white wall decor, okay? You are so bland and so boring. It's not even, you don't even have no personality. You know, a lot of white women have no personality.
Her mask slipped even further during a meltdown on Bigo, allegedly triggered when a white woman told her to get a job. Instead of brushing it off, Tophia bursted out, declaring that white people should be in...
Someone should have turned around and your white ancestors. How about that? Someone should have your whole family.
Someone under the post called her out for being greedy. All that because someone said to get a job? On Jesus Christ, and not her smirking like she ate only thing she ate is that rotisserie chicken that her big greedy ass didn't want to share with her own mother. Tophia didn't stop at everyday hypocrisy. She went all in. She went as far as mocking Ian Somerhalder, the lead cast of The Vampire Diaries, and even Angelina Jolie, just to convey her racist message that white people are ugly. People couldn't help but call her out for calling attractive actors ugly, and for being a parrot who copies other creators. She did not just call Angelina Jolie ugly. Again, she's just parroting another creator's talking points. Probably Genty again, SMH. And then once again, Tophia went on a long, exhausting rant about how white people shouldn't be involved in the country music production.
So I see this Jason Aldean. Let me tell you about Jason Aldean. You know, I don't like Jason Aldean. I don't listen to him. And a lot of these country music artists that are white need to get the F out of country. Country music is black people music. We're the ones who made and invented country. And I'm sick and tired of these white people trying to act like, country is their music. I am sick and tired of it. We invented country music.
But that's not all yet. Tophia's sickening obsession and fetishization of Asian men has led her to become more vile. In a video, she referred to Asians and used the derogatory term to show her fetishization.
I'm not apologizing for calling Asian because it's not a derogatory term towards Asians. Someone in the comment section literally told you that I'm correct. So maybe you need to listen to people.
And if you thought that was bad, she's also shown her homophobia in full view. In one live stream, perhaps after an online fight with someone, Tophia made disgusting remarks about the person's father.
It's zesty sauce. Are you serious? The only person zesty is your dad.
She once even shared the clear definition of transphobic.
Transphobia is the fear of trans people. What do you think a phobia is? Go look it up. What do you think phobic is? the phobic is a fear of something. Like I said, the reason why people act out towards people is because of how they were treated.
Tophia also unfairly dragged a certain group of people after his brother's tragedy. Brother Chu's life ended tragically in an attempted carjacking on March 11, 2025. While Family Chu was sleeping in Donald's car, a carjacker silently approached them. Tophia jumped out of the car in panic as the person tried to steal the car from Brother Chu. He was sitting in the driver's seat with his mother beside him. The carjacker suddenly opened them, fatally wounding Brother Chu and injuring Mama Chu. The suspect then sped away in the same car, only to be taken down moments later by a security guard from a nearby apartment. The suspect was identified as Peter Garcia, but Tophia twisted this into a sweeping stereotype, unfairly claiming that people with the Garcia surname were tied to crime.
Like criminal, a lot of Garcias have been behind a lot of crime. The guy that unalived my brother, Peter Garcia, or I don't know if that's him, but all I know is that an article was posted in the paper, and basically an article was posted in the paper, and they said that was him. So
Brother Chu was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead, while Chu was critically injured and receiving a life-saving treatment. Right after the shooting, Tophia came live on Instagram voice-only story and broke the sad news.
Oh my God, guys! Oh my God, my family was my brother's dead. Oh my God, my mom, he took the car. He stole the car and he got out. I said, get out, and I didn't think my mom. Oh my God.
Not long after, Tophia shifted from grief to what many called sympathy farming over her brother's death. When someone posted a simple TikTok shop ad, she attacked them for promoting violence, as if the entire internet, the world, and everyone in it revolved around her loss.
I'm all for people promoting TikTok shops, right? And promoting products and stuff like that, and posting and, selling products, but you literally are portraying violence. You literally are portraying violence to sell a shirt. And my trauma, I know people are not responsible for people's traumas and triggers, but that was not a way to sell a t-shirt.
Then came what many saw as the perfect moment for her to cash in. Tophia launched a GoFundMe, asking for around $10,000 to cover Brother Chu's funeral expenses. The donations poured in, but instead of going toward the funeral, Tophia was allegedly spotted shopping lavishly, buying pricey items online, and spending freely. The funeral? Barely a mention. When people began confronting her for her behavior, she lashed back in return, dragging everyone who questioned her. A few of her followers wanted to confirm if Brother Chu was buried or still at the morgue, since there were no updates on his situation. Some followers, still in doubt, called the morgue to check if Brother Chu had even been buried. What they learned was chilling. He wasn't in a separate urn at all, but placed in communal ashes. The money meant for his urn had allegedly gone elsewhere. But Tophia still had more excuses to justify her greedy and selfish behavior.
Profile picture person's we're gonna show him everything that you said, and you're not gonna get any help. You're not gonna get a set. First of all, that's my brother's friend, and second of all, if you're in contact with the person that has the GoFundMe, how funny we're both in contact, and the guy's not gonna take the money back and not bury his friend? Are you dumb? You're literally telling people that this guy is not gonna help bury his friend. I wouldn't do that if I was you. He had friends that really cared. For you to say that this guy's gonna revoke the GoFundMe money because you're showing him stuff, I really hope and think that you do know that you're actually talking to that guy and not someone pretending to be him because you're that stupid.
These days, Tophia is homeless, crashing with Mama Chu in her beat-up 2008 Dodge Caravan. Her live streams are all dried up and so her income, but her begging continues, asking for donations from her followers just so she can afford a simple living. And meanwhile, Tophiachu is still wandering on the streets alone, fending for himself, while Tophia fills her TikTok and Instagram with thirst traps, maybe aimed at young Asian men, who knows.
I'm hoping this could reach somebody to help me and my mom secure stable housing.
Her mom is stuck in a shelter barely fit for survival, but instead Tophia has been putting every excuse under the sun as to why she couldn't get a job.
The common sense for when rich people are born of money, they're rich. When people are born of poverty, they stay poor. That's how the system is built. The system is built poorly. Get a part-time job? No, I cannot get a part-time job. How many times? I shouldn't have to work. If I break down at work because I'm too, I can't. You don't understand. Stop trying to force someone who is not mentally in the right mind space to go to work when they have I'm freaking anxious. I don't have anxiety, but I am anxious because you guys just want me to go to work so you can get me fired. We're not talking about negativity. Please bring up positive stuff or I'll make you pay to talk. And some of you guys don't have the money to pay to talk, so.
Claiming that getting a job would somehow delay her chances of getting housing, to blaming the system for why she cannot get hired at all. The list of excuses Tophia has stacked up whenever someone tells her to work is practically endless. But perhaps the most interesting excuse of all is her claim that being homeless is the very reason she cannot get employed. And to be fair, that is true to a certain extent. Not having a stable address does make things harder, and many employers are understandably hesitant to trust someone who constantly frames themselves as a victim of homelessness the way that Tophia does. However, that is not actually the reason Tophia herself says she cannot work. According to her, the real obstacle is that she does not have $10 for an ID.
Especially because a lot of them don't have IDs. They've had their documentation stolen and can't afford an ID. Like, it's only $10, but some people still can't only afford $10.
Which is absurd when you consider that she has been caught multiple times over the past 2 to 3 months, wasting what little money she has on things like shopping, getting her nails done, and even more bizarrely, gambling at the casino. Now, someone could try to excuse the shopping trips by saying maybe she needed food or basic necessities. Even getting her nails done could be brushed off with she is a girl, maybe she just wanted to feel better about herself, even if that still doesn't make much sense given her situation. But what justification is there for someone living in a homeless shelter, actively begging for money to survive, turning around and gambling at a casino? None. There is absolutely no excuse for that. What makes this even more unsettling is the timing. The very day before she was spotted gambling at the casino, Tophia claimed she had been evicted from the homeless shelter she was staying at, meaning she was supposedly back on the streets. Immediately after that, she began posting urgent messages on TikTok asking for donations, working overtime to squeeze as much sympathy as possible from her followers. I have an emergency. Can anyone help me out and send me money to my PayPal? I'd appreciate it. I know what the trolls are going to say, but I need safe shelter for the night. For those asking if I am okay, no, I am not okay. I keep being put in danger. I will have to sleep outside in a tent. I don't get help. I can't explain the whole situation because it's personal. But another interesting area where Tophia appears to have wasted a large sum of money is a recent situation where she claims she was scammed. In a live stream she did recently, Tophia told her viewers that she paid $400 to a website for some kind of service she never ended up receiving. While it is still unclear what that service was supposed to be, she claims the site took her money, did not deliver what was promised, and never refunded her afterward.
I was like, They said that they favored in the company's favor for that refund. They were like, yeah, so we sided with them. And I was like, what the heck? So I had to call them. They reopened it and I said, look, I got an email that shows they said it didn't process. And then after I got done talking with them, they processed the money. No way. You ain't gonna take my $400. I don't even use your website anymore. Like, it's not worth it. For $400 a month, and then, yeah, so no.
Besides the TikTok live donations she has been receiving, another major financial stream that appears to have made Tophia even more careless with money is the GoFundMe she created, which itself went on to spark massive backlash. On March 11th, 2025, Tophia, alongside her brother and mother, was the victim of a carjacking. That incident tragically resulted in the death of her brother and left her mother injured.
In the vehicle in that church parking lot, or what exactly was going on, but it was about 3:30 in the morning. There were 3 adults in the vehicle. Apparently someone approached them and maybe tried to carjack the car. One of the victims reported that the driver, who was her brother, was shot. And then the suspect tried to grab her and pull her out of the passenger seat. She was able to get away and flee from the victim. There was another female victim, who I believe is the mother of those 2, was also shot.
Given how horrific this situation was, nearly everyone, including people who had previously disliked her, felt deep sympathy for Tophia and the entire Chu family. That sympathy quickly turned into financial support when a GoFundMe was created to cover Brother Chu's burial costs and to help support the family during their homelessness. However, that wave of empathy did not last long. The GoFundMe was eventually reported and shut down, and the primary reason for that fallout was none other than Tophia herself. Despite the fact that she had just suffered a devastating tragedy with the loss of her brother, along with the ongoing financial crisis of being homeless, you would expect Tophia to be extremely careful with how she spent the money coming in from both the GoFundMe and her livestream gifts. But instead of showing restraint, Tophia appeared completely uninterested in responsible spending. She continued shopping and even returned to gambling at the casino. The same day she was seen shopping at Ross, she went live on TikTok where viewers immediately confronted her about it. Rather than taking accountability, Tophia outright lied and claimed she was only looking around and had not purchased anything.
Considering that a lot of people are breaking the law and committing crimes by stalking me because, oh, God forbid I go shopping at Ross and ping, there's a video, which I didn't go shopping at Ross, I was just looking around.
However, she would later end up exposing herself when she slipped up and admitted that she actually had bought things after all.
I don't know if I bought anything when oh yeah, I did. I got makeup stuff because my lipstick came off. That's what it was.
Another topic that came up during the same live stream was Tophia claiming that she was a victim of what she described as racism, simply because people were saying she is not black.
Because his advocacy stops when it comes to black people. And why are black people shitted on so much? Especially when I don't care, because people could say I'm not black, but I'm black. Whether you say I'm not black or not, that's your opinion and that's anti-black. Whether you want to unlearn the stuff that you learned from your parents must have been anti-black and racist, because that's the only thing I could think of, because nobody just outright all of a sudden is anti-black or racist.
Now, whether someone saying that is truly enough to be labeled as racism is already questionable, but what makes this even more bizarre is what Tophia would later reveal just a couple of months afterward. She dropped the bombshell that Tophiachu is not actually her biological father, but rather her stepfather. That would mean she is not black through him at all, since her mother is Hispanic, directly contradicting the identity she had previously been claiming through her father or stepfather.
I didn't steal from my stepdad. He told us we could use his disability.
And somehow, the most baffling part of this entire situation is not even the hypocrisy itself. It is how casually Tophia now refers to Tophiachu as her stepfather, as if that revelation carries no weight at all. There was no explanation, no addressing the months of claims that built her identity narrative around him. She simply said it and moved on. What makes this even more ironic is that while Tophia loudly complains about people on the internet being racist toward her, her own mother was caught calling her the hard R multiple times on a live stream. And despite her entire audience hearing it in real time, Tophia never addressed it once.
Call me a beaner like so. Excuse me. Not slow, because we're talking about two people, you retard.
What the fuck do you want?
Mom, don't
be calling my fucking phone, retarded bitch.
Mom, don't use that word. Stop.
Tophia is a foul, obese.
Mom, I don't want to hear that. Please stop.
Now, circling back to the GoFundMe, once it became undeniably clear that Tophia had been spending the donated money irresponsibly on unnecessary purchases, people began demanding refunds. Instead of admitting the money had already been blown, Tophia cooked yet another ridiculous story. She claimed that she was not actually the owner of the GoFundMe at all, and that the person who controlled it had vanished with the funds.
I don't want anyone to get scammed. Me and my family will be working on a GoFundMe if we need any other expenses. As for right now, please. Also, I do want to say, those of you who have sent money to Cash App, it is saying failed. So if you sent any money, please send money to my PayPal if it doesn't work.
Naturally, nobody believed this. Not only was the story absurd on its face, but it also came from someone who already had a firmly established reputation as a pathological liar. And if that was not bad enough, Tophia would go on to launch another GoFundMe on October 5th of this year. This time, the situation escalated to a level that was no longer just questionable, but outright vile. The goal was set at $500,000. At this point, she could no longer even use her brother's funeral as justification, because no funeral costs anywhere near that amount. But it got even worse. It was later exposed that the state had already paid roughly $7,000 to Tophia's family, both to cover her brother's funeral expenses and as compensation for the tragedy itself. Conveniently, Tophia never disclosed this to her audience, and whenever people confronted her about it, Tophia was mostly frustrated at the people who asked her and barely gave any kind of response that made sense.
Let's clear up what the state paid, because I'm so sick and tired of people saying the state already paid. No, the state did not already pay. So I'm going to explain that to you because it's literally pissing me off. So let's get this out of the way. Cremated people can be buried. My grandmother and grandfather are buried, and they're cremated. So for people saying that you can't bury cremated people, yes, you can. You can also have them entombed.
At this point, her reputation as a scammer was already cemented. People were no longer willing to donate. As a result, her new GoFundMe raised a completely insignificant amount compared to its $500,000 goal, effectively killing her last realistic hope of surviving on donations. Anyone with basic logic would immediately understand that a $500,000 GoFundMe was never plausible in the first place. But Tophia genuinely believed she would receive the full amount. She was more than confident in it, and when reality hit and the donations barely moved, she completely crashed out. From repeatedly exploiting the carjacking tragedy and emotional rants to breaking down over the smallest inconveniences imaginable, Tophia began unraveling publicly in every possible way. And then came the most infamous moment of all, the Tylenol incident. On a random day, Tophia went live on TikTok visibly choking and retching, claiming that she had just taken 7 Tylenol in an attempt to end her life.
Stuff, that's all. I can't put this in there. Put it in there. Put it in. Help me.
While the subject of this situation is extremely sensitive and anyone in such a state absolutely deserves sympathy, there are undeniable red flags surrounding Tophia's alleged self-harm attempt that make the entire incident appear suspicious. First of all, it raises serious questions why anyone in their right mind, especially after claiming they had come to their senses, would choose to pick up their phone and film themselves choking on camera instead of immediately calling for help or going to the hospital. And even if medical attention were delayed, one would still expect Tophia to visibly follow through with hospital treatment after abruptly ending the live stream.
I took 7 Tylenol. And I don't feel good. I need help. I wanted to kill myself.
However, the situation became even more questionable when a photo of Tophia shopping with a fan surfaced online, allegedly from the exact same day as the supposed hospital visit. This immediately sparked massive backlash online, as it directly contradicted the narrative she had presented. Instead of addressing the core accusation that she may have faked the incident, Tophia chose to focus almost entirely on the way the fan posed in the photo. She stated, "I want to say this because it's really important. I just had an interaction with a fan, and they literally asked me for a photo. I said sure they could have a photo, but if you guys take photos, please be respectful and do not do inappropriate poses because it is literally uncomfortable. Everything just happened so fast that she literally was popping her butt out or whatever pose she did. I don't want anyone to take anything the wrong way." That's it. Another major inconsistency lies in her hospital claim itself. Someone who has genuinely attempted self-harm would not realistically be discharged within the same day after only spending a single night, as such cases typically involve at least a 72-hour psychiatric hold. This created yet another hole in Tophia's story, which only became more contradictory when she attempted to explain it. At first, she claimed the hospital released her because she was calm and not displaying any signs of distress, which led them to determine she was fine.
They were like, oh, well, we'll just let you sleep. But I was like, no, I better get out. So they discharged me. She was gonna let me sleep, but I was like, no, I need to go. I didn't go in for mental health reasons, though. I went to the wrong window, and then I told them that it was not good. I explained it, and I was calm. If I didn't go in calm, that would have been a whole different story. If I would have went in freaking out, if I would have went in like this one lady was hollering all night and said she wasn't going to stop until they gave her belongings, because you cannot have your phone. They take your phone.
This explanation is deeply illogical, as it implies that people at risk of self-harm can simply be assessed by looking at their faces, which is an utter lie. To make matters worse, Tophia later contradicted this explanation entirely by presenting a second version of events. She now claimed the hospital actually wanted to keep her longer, but she chose to leave because she was afraid of losing her shelter bed, stating that the shelter would give her spot to someone else if she stayed overnight again. Given Tophia's long-established pattern of seeking pity and sympathy from her audience by any means necessary, many viewers believe the Tylenol incident was simply another attention-driven episode. Others also speculated that this was an attempt to revive donations for her GoFundMe, which ultimately failed. However, despite everything, a close relative of Tophia reportedly stepped in and offered both her and Mama Chu a place to stay, which was especially significant given Mama Chu's worsening condition inside the shelter. Seeing the horrific conditions that both Tophia and her mother Marie were living in, Mama Chu's brother, who is also Tophia's uncle, stepped forward and offered them a place to stay. This offer had the potential to finally resolve the long-standing housing crisis that Tophia and her family had been trapped in for a very long time. However, the offer came with one condition. Tophia would have to stay off social media. Given Tophia's obsessive attachment to online attention, it was obvious from the start that she would never accept this condition. But what followed was even more disturbing. Instead of politely declining or expressing gratitude for the opportunity, Tophia immediately launched into a public smear campaign against her own uncle. She began airing private family matters online, dragging old personal issues into the public eye, things that had no business being discussed on social media whatsoever.
You left me and my family homeless when I was in elementary school, trying to tell me that, I was not old enough. How many times have you thrown me out of grandma's house? More than once. And try to make excuses about my father? That's BS. You know you took money from her bank account, and his son was driving by there and pulled up and literally told me, because he was talking to me, because, he was like, they were on his way somewhere, and told me that his own dad had a restraining order on him, that he was not allowed to go by his grandmother's house because his father put a restraining order on him. I'm like, and I literally told my grandma, I said, does he have a restraining order? Because he said his dad has a restraining order. He can't come around here. That's why he hasn't been around. She didn't even know. Because she would say like, the other grandchildren don't come to visit. Me and my brother were the only ones that came to visit, and we didn't have a car.
And her uncle is far from the only person Tophia has recently had serious conflict with. Around June of this year, Tophia was catfished by someone posing as an Asian teenager. Anyone familiar with her content already knows about her fixation, often expressed in an unsettling way, on Asian men, particularly the BTS archetype. Seeing this, someone on Instagram decided to troll her through catfishing, initially treating it as a joke, but Tophia was so gullible that she never bothered to verify who she was actually speaking to. Instead, she immediately believed the persona and began confiding in the stranger, revealing personal information and even detailing what she described as her master plan to retaliate against her detractors. It is no secret that Tophia harbors deep resentment toward T and commentary channels, despite the fact that they are largely responsible for the level of notoriety she has today. One of the people she particularly despises is a TikToker known as Jay Grizzly. In her messages to the catfish, Tophia made multiple disturbing statements describing how she planned to destroy this person. She said, "I would go undercover and rob these people of money and get money off of them." At that point, it was no longer just talk, because this was her openly describing a plan to commit an actual crime. Given the horrible financial situation she is in, it is likely she needed money to get her nails done, or maybe she needed some gambling money, so in her mind, robbing someone probably felt justified. Still, it is hard to believe she would be capable of escaping if she were about to get caught, given her obesity. But unfortunately, Tophia was not done with her revenge plot, because in the same conversation, she went even further and said this wild statement: "You can also go after their parents' reputation, and I am pretty sure if you hit their parents in their pockets and their reputation, they don't want this type of negative energy around them, they will cut these people off." At that point, it was no longer just about stealing money, it was about actively trying to destroy families. And Jay Grizzly is not the only person Tophia is plotting revenge against. Recently, she's been increasingly getting frustrated with another content creator by the name Smokey, who is a famous reaction channel creator in the Tophiachu universe. This time, though, it was not just anger or insults. She was openly wishing the absolute worst to happen to him.
I wonder if Smokey will kick the bucket. That's what I wonder. I wonder if Smokey will kick buckets. Do you think so? I said it. And what? What are you going to do about it? Nothing. I'm so sick and tired of Smokey reporting on things because they got bills they gotta pay, they got a house, so they lie on people. Smokey MC needs to kick a bucket, okay? I'm not gonna be nice to people who literally shits on someone who lost their brother. I'm sorry, I cannot do it.
The people watching the live stream were clearly disturbed by her behavior and started reporting it. Instead of reflecting on what she had just said, this only made her more frustrated, and she immediately turned herself into the victim, accusing people of being soft-skinned for reporting her, even though she had just wished death on another human being. And this was not the only time during the past few months that Tophia's chat pushed back against her behavior. In a live stream she held around July 19th, Tophia was sitting at Sonic, one of the most famous drive-in fast food restaurants in the US, when an employee approached her and told her that she was banned from the restaurant. At that point, even real life was starting to mirror the consequences of her online behavior.
I used the curl enhancing smoothie, and then I used this mousse cream thing. I don't know what it was. I got it at TJ Maxx.
My friend, you gotta go.
Oh, that's because people called and harassed. They're calling and harassing.
One of the most common themes in Tophia's recent content is her constant complaints about men bothering her on the street. She claims that she is being pursued by a lot of men whom she calls creepy, but the reason she believes these men are obsessed with her is extremely absurd. In Tophia's mind, any man who offers her a ride or even leaves a comment on Facebook is instantly labeled as someone who is obsessed with her.
The amount of creepy men on Facebook is so insane. I woke up and some guy was like, "Hey, you're beautiful." I was like, okay. The old men too, like that are liking my stuff. This one guy, I don't know who he is, if that's him or if that's a meme page, but yeah, he's creepy. He's like a stalker.
To be fair, this does not mean predatory men do not exist. There absolutely are men who target people they think are easy victims, and that reality cannot be denied. But the irony here is that there is one person she completely avoids addressing, despite constantly talking about creepy men, and that person is her own stepfather. Donald Slidell, better known as Tophiachu, is a 58-year-old man who genuinely believes he is teething like a baby, and that his fallen-out teeth will grow back again like a child's.
I know my teeth. My teeth are going to grow back. I'm 58. I'm 58 years old, and I am teething. Right now, I am teething like a baby.
If you are familiar with Tophiachu, these kinds of absurdly delusional claims are simply part of his character, and are most likely the result of his years-long untreated mental health problems, more specifically bipolar disorder. One of the other most notorious delusions Tophiachu is known for is his infamous claim that he owns an international bank called the Ozark International Bank of America, where he presents himself as the most knowledgeable banker and businessman in the entire world, despite having no evidence to support any of it.
Every nation in the world is going to do a reset. A reset. We're going to eliminate all debt. Number one. We're going to be a debt-free world. So every debt that is owed to another nation is set at zero. Nobody owes shit. No more debt. Reset the debt to zero. And every nation is to print $999 zillion. Every nation is to print $999 zillion. And wait for further instructions. And wait for my instructions.
Although he sincerely believes these delusions to be facts, he still somehow managed to use the very same claims to grift people out of their money, which is where it stops being just mental instability and turns into something far more dishonest. These actions trace all the way back to around 2010, when he allegedly scammed a person out of $390 by promising them some kind of financial return. Once the money was sent, he cut all contact with the person and even went as far as blocking their number.
Here's to all you YouTubers. Just so that you know, Donald Slidell is a freaking fake. He will not pay you. He uses everybody's information to collect and make himself richer. So if you ever have dealing with Slidell Financial, it's better to just say no. Thanks.
But above all of this deranged behavior, there is one aspect that makes Tophiachu infinitely more dangerous, and that is his undeniable predatory behavior. Over the years, even long before Tophia ever appeared online, Tophiachu maintained a Twitter account where he would rant about his delusions, while simultaneously pushing disturbing, predatory messages to his followers, specifically targeting underage girls. This is where his behavior crosses a line that can no longer be brushed off as just mental instability, and becomes something far more serious and threatening. He's been repeatedly banned for posting extremely disturbing content, such as telling parents to be with their children from a young age, viewing it as a way to teach kids about life, and even going as far as offering $10,000 to any girl who is under 18 years old to be with him for one night. But perhaps the most disturbing accusations against Tophiachu comes from Tophia herself, when she said verbatim that her dad had R-worded her.
Like, I wasn't being mean towards Mexicans. I always have to defend myself.
That's okay. I
And when
never
I
want
do,
to do anything with any of you. You're all sick.
someone literally told me I was messed up in the head because my dad R-worded me. And they victim shamed me several times. I did nothing but try to defend myself.
In contrast to the magnitude of this allegation, there is no particular piece of evidence suggesting it to be true or otherwise, and since Tophia is not a particularly reliable narrator, this claim might not be true. But either way, it is still so disturbing to watch, and given this disturbing story, the fact that Tophia is now yapping about how men are stalking her just because somebody offered her a ride, while at the same time insulting each and every person who accused Tophiachu of the same thing, is pretty much hypocritical. But ironically, around the same time this happened, she would also be exposed as a stalker herself, doing the very thing she's complaining about other men doing to her. Over the course of the years, Tophia has never had any serious friends whatsoever, and the reason is mostly because of her personality, as well as people not wanting to associate with her due to her social media infamy. But around the month of September of this year, she brought up this woman whom Tophia believes is her friend. This woman lived at the same shelter as Tophia. Although Tophia claimed this person was just a friend, from the way she described their interaction, it seems she may have had a romantic interest in her. Tophia took it even further when she reposted this video on TikTok, which says, POV, when your homegirl starts looking at you with those pretty eyes and smiles she got. Although Tophia was acting as though the two were extremely close, it was only a couple of days after she started sending these signals that she was interested in this person romantically. But unfortunately for Toph, this person didn't want to reciprocate the feeling and ended up cutting Tophia off, which visibly upset her. After this happened, Tophia started talking about this person in a negative way online, but the irony was that she was still obsessed with her, and ended up going to the new shelter this woman entered. Tophia was then removed by security because this person did not want any contact with her at all. And beyond Tophia's obsessive behavior, one of the other major reasons this woman reportedly became disgusted with her was what happened around Halloween. Despite still being homeless and in a terrible financial situation, Tophia was once again exposed, wasting what little money she was getting from gifts and other small ventures on completely useless things. This time she decided that she needed 3 different Halloween costumes. And for someone who is mentally stable enough to understand that spending money on costumes while living in a homeless shelter makes absolutely no sense, this was likely the final straw. That realization alone would be more than enough for anyone to distance themselves from Tophia permanently. So after everything we've covered, from the GoFundMes and casino trips to the Tylenol drama and revenge plots, where do you land on Tophiachu? Is she a ruthless scammer who keeps exploiting tragedy and sympathy, or a deeply unstable person who needs serious help more than she needs a platform? Tell us your opinion in the comment box.